All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Wednesday, March 17th, 3 p.m. on the dot. We just had the 4-hour candle close. So I wanted to do an update right here in the middle of the day because it seems like there's a whole lot of chatter going on about the movement that's just happened. We just had the FOMC meeting. We obviously had Jay Powell talk. And really, I didn't expect any change, like I said, right? Policy is still the same. We're going to keep interest rates low. Fed policy is going to stay the same. Pretty much just business as usual, right? So nothing on that front was something that I was concerned about. And then other than that, in the Bitcoin analysis section, right, I've noted multiple times why I've stated that the Monday low right here, let me go back to this chart right here that I made for y'all, right? So, this is Monday's low right here, right? All we have to do is hold that low, okay? And I was pretty confident that as long as we held the low, we would at least target somewhere near these highs, maybe a bit more ambitious towards this weekly open up here, right? And looks like, we've kind of made that movement. Maybe all this sell pressure from here and here and here was due to the anticipation of the Fed meeting. Maybe there are some people putting on hedges from bigger funds, and now that pressure is relieved, right? Maybe they took off their hedges. Maybe the positions are lifted. Maybe the buyers are stepping in and blasting through people, way up who are shorting, right? So I really wasn't at all concerned about this movement down here, although it looked, quite scary. I mean, you guys know very well, I didn't really change any of my positioning, right? I stuck to my long position right here. Even in the 5K account, I kept my long position if you guys watched the morning video. So nothing for me changed in terms of my outlook. Now, the question is, right, and I think everybody's thinking, okay, well, yes, we've now made this movement outside of this range that we had, but now what? Well, making a move outside the range impulsively like this is the first good sign that you exited away from the range, impulsively, right? Impulsively meaning it's not like a grinding movement like this, and then you tap it and then come down. No, we just said F you to everybody, left all the sellers down here, right? Anybody who sold here, here, and shorted just got left behind, right? And this is actually visible by the volume delta that was happening this morning. So I think I had stated that in this area, if you look over here, right? Let me see on my Bitcoin analysis. I'm pretty sure I wrote this out. Yeah, so you could look at this chart right here, right? So here are a couple of things that were happening. Okay, first of all, if you look at this overall volume delta right here, this is sellers selling into this low down here. But all that while, the selling was decreasing since Monday low was put in. At the same time, yeah, buying was pretty low, but then just over the last 5 to 7 hours, the buying actually started to step up a little bit. Even if it wasn't a lot, like let me actually show y'all real quick, right? Exactly how that looks. So let's go to the hourly. And, again, I don't utilize this kind of footprint data and delta data a whole lot, but sometimes it gives you very, very good clues of, exactly who's flat-footed, who's positioned wrong, and exactly who's about to be exploited. And to me, it was pretty obvious that, selling heavy went into this low. We put in a lower low right here with lesser sell volume, like lesser negative delta. Then you had a whole lot of buying occur, even as though, price was still at the lows, and then more and more buying all through this whole area, right? And then a quick pull down, as you can see right here, another sideways movement for 4 or 5 hours. But once again, more buying occurred than selling, meaning actually net buying occurred more than selling. And then you just see expansion. This is the clearest sign one can make and find out in terms of all the sellers selling at the lows and anticipating a further breakdown, but then the absorption is actually what's happening in here. And all we're really looking for is to be patient and wait for the release. So that's all I was seeing in the market. And this is why I wasn't cocky or confident. It was just the fact that these were some of the most obvious clues that I was seeing, right? So now that's happened, okay, the first big target that I'm looking for is this weekly open right here. Okay. I mean, obviously the first target was this one right here, which is the February 21st weekly open. But the next big one, I think the most obvious level is probably this one that I would probably figure is going to be tagged. So 59,000 flat, right? So keep that in mind, as we approach that level. Now, as we approach that level, I actually am not really sure what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe we go up here, come back, do a retest and maybe push up higher. If we fail and we start breaking down, not a good sign, right? I mean, there's, first of all, no reason for us to come back anywhere near these levels again. Because once you leave the sellers behind from here, it's game time. It's time to go, right? I mean, it's like your ex, once you kind of break up with her down here, you just forget about her and just keep going, her or him. So this is kind of what you want, right? You don't want price after you impulsively leave that area. You don't want to return back here because that would imply that the buyers are weakening and the sellers are really starting to step in. And they start stepping in, they start breaking price down, then you're basically going back to where, these buyers were able to push the price up, but then the next time around, they're going to get weaker. Okay. Other than that, I told y'all that I saw this ascending triangle developing. It wasn't filled out like by the morning time. I think the morning time we were somewhere down here, but I was kind of confident that the triangle was filling out. I kind of expected, honestly, something like this, pull and then break out by tomorrow. But it is what it is, right? Like I said, there's many reasons why a market could start, ripping. It could be the fundamental news of, interest rates that are going to stay low and the Fed policy staying the same. But that was kind of already a foregone conclusion, right? It's not like anybody said, oh, wait, Jay Powell, said that Fed rates are low. Well, yeah, no shit. He's been saying that for like the last 9-10 months, So I think personally, this result down here was overzealous buyers who drove price up over the weekend. It got exploited to the downside, stopping out everybody here, and all the way up. And once price came back here, there was a lot of selling that occurred in this area. So now I think the asset belongs to, strong buyers. And I don't think for the most part, the strong buyers are going to let this go until, we probably drive this back to its previous highs or maybe new all-time highs. I mean, again, I could be wrong, right? Like for all I know, maybe the sellers are really strong and, maybe we get capped right here, get sent back down. So that is, an hour-to-hour, day-to-day thing. Okay. On a 4-hour basis, here's kind of what we have, right? We've impulsively broken above the pivot. Very good sign. And that's a weekly pivot. We've impulsively broken above the daily pivot and now just tagged the R1. So now what you want to see is, let's just say if you're a pivot trader, right? At best, you just come down quick wick like that, and then boom, be on your merry way back up. And if you're looking for long opportunities, if you had not already gotten long down here, which I've been talking about for the last 48 hours, why I believe this was the bottom, okay? And I told y'all that you could place a stop here. You could place a stop here, or if you want, you could, go long. And as the market moves up, keep a stop as the market keeps moving up. So if you're not long and say you're thinking about going long, well, all you're really looking for is, quick pullbacks. I really don't know how deep the pullback is going to go. Pull back down there, place your stop just below this area or this area. That's your risk. First target could be here. Next target could be here. And then after that, new all-time highs. Okay. Is there a bearish side to this? Yeah, probably. But, I already explained to y'all some of the reasons and clues why the market wasn't giving me bearish signals. Like over here was the best time for the bears to do something, but they didn't. They kind of pissed away their chances, right? You don't you don't call for, this movement to be shorted or faded. Maybe if we start, coming back down inside this area, then you can short, stop right here. Then you just start aiming for lower lows, like take out this low, probably, head back to this March 7th weekly open, or maybe all the way down to 45,000. But, again, I don't see a reason to go short now. Like the short time was somewhere in the middle of this area, and that's really, or maybe range to rate or level to level shorts in here. But I'm not seeing the opportunity for shorts, and I'm not seeing the reasoning why I want to go short. Now, maybe a hedge, but I personally think there's better opportunities to go long. But that's just me. The other way you could look at this is, say from a bigger picture and structural perspective. Well, here's the sell-off, W bottom, and release, right? Additionally, you can look at this area right here. All right. See, this was all previous resistance. So I talked about this yesterday and 2 days ago. Resistance, 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 breaks through, and this is your retest. So I've stated before that retest doesn't mean that you have to perfectly touch that level and then bounce off. Sometimes retests are a little bit shallow because the market is that bullish, right? It's the same reason why sometimes the market, when you have, say, clean levels like this, when the market is moving up like this, you don't have to come back, retest this area, and then go up. Sometimes the market doesn't give you an opportunity. It goes something like this, boom, takes off, retrace, boom. See, this whole area that gets left behind is because the market is so aggressively bullish that the buyers just keep driving the price up. And this has actually happened to Bitcoin numerous times. Now, generally, Bitcoin is pretty damn good at retesting, previous levels. For example, here's a perfect example, right? Here's an area that we broke out from, right? We consolidated pretty much, well above the level, but we still made, if you look deep inside this area, like just a quick spike right there and then took off. Then from this consolidation, we broke up again, all right, consolidate, right, quick spikes down, but still left this gap right here and then took off. Now at the same time, right, this large looking structure, what we had was huge structure right here, broke out, came back, retested this low to these previous highs right here. So it's the same thing that's happening in BTC. Again, this is my opinion, right? I think the same thing is happening right now in BTC where we might be looking for a deeper sell-off, but it's also possible that the sell-off already happened, right? Like this was it, where we had previous resistance, price comes back, boom, higher low, takes off, changes structure, right? It changes structure because remember, this was a high, a lower high, low, lower low, lower high, and lower low. And then what happened? Again, this is another equal high, higher low. Now you're looking for a higher high. Boom, you got it. Change in structure. You've now, with this movement, changed this downtrend. Temporarily, but nonetheless changed. Okay? Am I rambling on? Is this kind of helpful? Helpful. Very okay. Perfect. All right. So my thought process, once again, still looking for previous highs, or I'm sorry, weekly open, then previous highs, and then probably all-time high. Now on a daily basis, here's another good sign, right? In the larger perspective, I will say that things do not look like they're shaping up good, but let's do one step at a time. Okay, so let's do this, right? Okay, so we have a trend line right here. All right. So say you weren't looking at the volume. Okay. And say you weren't even looking at this top trend line. Well, you have touch one, touch two, touch three. Three touches on a trend line validates and confirms that it is a trend line. Four touches right here, definitely this is a trend line right here. So we respected this 4 times in a row right here with this touch. And now we have, a release from today's daily candle looking good. Okay. I mean, we still have 3 hours and 45 minutes, but anything can happen, but still it looks pretty damn good to me. Right. So we bounce off the bottom trend line. Well, now what? Now what do you do? Well, if you're bouncing off the bottom trend line, first things first, target previous highs. That's the most basic thing that you can learn in technicals, right? Target previous highs right here around 60, let's just say 62,000. Get above that and then go to the next, bigger level of resistance. Well, the biggest level of resistance is technically this trend line because we don't have price history, right? These are previous all-time highs, and Bitcoin is going to be in price discovery as soon as it breaks out of here. So if you're looking for the next resistance marker, you just pull this out, right? Let's throw a price label. Let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 days, let's just say March 22nd. Well, that puts us around 72,000 if we're supposed to hit this top trend line of this wedge. Okay. Now, after that, I really don't know what's going to happen because then what you'll have is a pretty big, tightened wedge that has occurred. And with that, we also will have, let me see, decreasing volume. Okay. Let me pull this down here. So you have rising price, decreasing volume. This is probably the most obvious, rising wedge in Bitcoin history on a multi-day, multi-week basis, technically multi-month, because this has been happening since the beginning of January, right? Now, just because things are a rising wedge and you see declining volume doesn't mean that you have to break down. Once you break down or you start the descent, then okay, the rising wedge is about to start playing out. Because as you guys very well know, like any pattern, whether it's a rising wedge where, price funnels in here and then breaks down, or it's a triangle consolidation like this, tighten, breaks out or breaks down, you actually need the breakout or breakdown. Other than that, it's just a pattern of many patterns that could occur. So the fact is that, yes, we see the rising wedge with decreasing volume, but doesn't mean that the wedge has to break down. It's saying that, okay, you should start being careful because volume is declining and you're funneling into an area where the volume is not showing relative sensitivity to the price increase, meaning the volume is not falling through to the upside as the price is going up. And that's generally not the best sign. Now, here's where we can, let's just say, draw a bullish scenario, okay? In consolidation patterns, you will often have tightening of price action with decreasing volume. But then you may sometimes get the pattern to fail and this thing just rips. I don't know about it getting to 100K, but let's just say it rips outside the wedge and it breaks to 79, breaks to 80, breaks to 85. Well, this is where you might start seeing increase in volume. So that is the bullish case as well that is technically still in play. So you could see, yeah, there might be bearish things lining up, but nothing has really played out, So let me see if there's any other questions. All right. Yeah. Or we could use pivots too. Yes. So that's a good point, right? So here's a pivot, right? I mean, we rejected the R1 this past weekend, broke down from it. Now we're retesting the R1. Well, where's the R2? Well, the R2 is somewhere around 70,000 in the next, what's this? Today's the 17th, so 20th, along this trend line, you can use, or even slightly higher than the R2, 72, 73,000, right? But yeah, you could simply use pivots, right? So, as you can see, I'm thinking we're probably going to head higher. But once again, I'm not blind enough to say, or I'm not, how would you phrase this? I'm not naive enough to say that we have to just keep rolling up, because at the same time, you still need price to get above specific levels and hold, right? The other level that I talked about, this $57,400 level, which was previous resistance, deviation, resistance, breakout, didn't even flinch right here and sold off. Now you're staying above that level. Okay. So yeah, it's possible. Maybe we've done our business down here, left everybody in the dust. All right, game time, So I see a lot of pros in terms of, upside movement for price action. What will be my TP levels? Yeah, I just mentioned them, right? I said, depending on how price action moves, I'm going to keep my position open. Like, I'll just take it one day at a time. I don't foresee any huge sell-offs like this. I'll just kind of hang on to the position, see how each level breaks up or down. My first area that I'd want to be watching is probably 59. I don't think I will trim there, but I'll see how price reacts. Like if price comes into this area and it starts, seeing very heavy buying activity right here, and then sellers keep absorbing, I might be inclined to trim, but probably not. Like, I think at present moment, I'm thinking that, okay, I think the fundamental news has relieved itself. The FOMC meeting is done. We've had a whole lot of sellers down here sell and get trapped. I think it's time to escape. I think it's, go time to the upside. So I'm probably thinking, probably target previous all-time highs or maybe even higher. Okay. But I'll let y'all know, exactly what I do. I'm not married to my position. Just going to take it one day at a time. I've been keeping you guys updated pretty consistently, I would say. So I don't think there should be any, loss in knowledge or understanding of where I am with the market. You should be very well updated with my thought process and all my analysis that I've done. Okay. Let's see. So a couple other things that I mentioned, alpha, which was, I still think alpha is going to move up, but again, this wasn't really a trade. I was just mentioning to you guys that, hey, I see this resistance being hit multiple times. I think this level right here, 184, whatever it is, I think it's getting weaker and weaker. I think if it rips, it's probably going to target this 208 level, and then 225, this marker right here. I still think it's on its way, but again, not an official trade. Okay. And then that, which I'd mentioned on March 10th, has just been an absolute ripper, right? We mentioned it at 0.77, currently BAT is at 124. How much of a move is that? Let's see. From here, 61% move. 61% move in 7 days. It's pretty solid, And obviously some of this has to do with a lot of this has to do with the grayscale listing news too. But, all in all, good sign if you're a BAT holder or holder. And I've had BAT, I told y'all, for several years, just kind of having Brave platform, using it for a while, and just having some tokens from back in the day that were kind of gifted to me, So I like BAT. I've traded numerous times. When it trades well, it really trades well. So, all right. What else? What else should I look into? What do you guys have questions on? Anything else I can cover? Cake. Yeah. Yeah. So Cake, I kind of just, bought this and I just said, you know what? It is what it is. We'll see what happens. So we got into cake at 685. Currently, our position is up 47%. This is listed here in DeFi Spot Buy. Everything is dated from, you can see right here, February 15th. I took that entry. I'm probably not going to touch it for a little while. I just want to see how cake is going to do for the next, several months. I think it'll do particularly well. I think a big challenger is also Sushi, which has now gained momentum over Uniswap, over PancakeSwap, and taken over the #1 spot for total value locked. And now it's actually passed a resolution to be moved onto the Solana ecosystem. So I think Sushi will actually do tremendously well. But yeah, going back to cake, just real quick. So I personally believe that cake is probably still, a position that I want to hang on for the next several months. I think it's going to do just fine. I don't think DeFi projects, especially the DEXs, the AMMs, what's it called? The liquidity providers. I think they're going to do particularly well. So, this drawdown doesn't really faze me a whole lot. But yeah, I still think there's more upside left. If you're looking at a trade, right, you can look at these two right here, candles. Okay, so here's the perfect way to look at price action on a local basis when you look at candles like this, okay? So these are what we would probably call tweezer bottoms. If it closes like this, more than likely, these are going to be called tweezer bottoms, right? Stop below here and going long, generally at tweezer bottoms, is a pretty solid long entry, okay? Because the risk reward is solid. I mean, say you go long right here, you stop just below the wicks, that's an 8.7% loss. But the upside that you're targeting is at least this level right here, which is resistance. And then above that, previous all-time highs, somewhere around here, like 86, maybe 100%, maybe even new highs. So effectively, you're looking for maybe 8% loss if you get stopped, but then the upside is pretty damn solid, right? So, risk reward wise, I'd figure this is a pretty solid area to go long if you like this project. Okay, I'm not going to tell you to go long, non-investment advice, but that's how I would look at it from a risk reward perspective. All right. Sushi. Okay. Link and Badger. All right. So let's do Link first. So Link also got listed on the Grayscale Trust. Link has held this pivot for the last several weeks. Pretty much the last 2 weeks. It's done particularly well. Same thing with Link. I mean, if Bitcoin and say most of the market is breaking out, chances are pretty high that, Link has to obviously get above this high right here. But, Link is creating its own consolidation structure, ascending triangle, right? It's filling it out pretty damn well. Now what you want to see is tag up here, maybe pull back a little bit, and boom, put in a big candle and leave all the sellers behind down here, right? So that's what you want to hope for Link. And I personally think Link is bottom, but you want to make sure Link does not come back below this pivot. I don't think it will, but, again, crypto markets are crazy, right? They sometimes have negative 10, 20% movements just out of the blue. So probably keep an eye on that. All right. Badger. Badger actually kind of looks the same as, where was it? No, let's do Badger USD. Dude, this one. Where was the chart? I can't remember. I thought Badger looked the same as Alpha, but clearly not. I really don't know about Badger. Huge descending movement. Maybe you can count this as like a tightening wedge-like movement that's happening. But you still want to see price like break out of this trend line, even better to break above this pivot, which is around $47. And then once it breaks above this area, right? Well, you have your risk defined. It's below these lows right here. Let's just say around $40, right? And you can start targeting previous highs like those, like these, and this up here. Okay. But yeah, I really don't know about Badger. It looks like it's just consolidating, just grinding away lower and lower. I don't know when it's going to break out, but there's other good opportunities out there too. Like ETH, we took up a ETH long, just yesterday, I think, right? Let's go back to that. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I can't even remember. Yeah, yesterday at 8:15 a.m., right? So took in that long at 1780. I was expecting, a stop around 1675. So, ETH is broken up above the pivot. Now, obviously, I want to see more movement above this pivot to hold, and then we can start targeting previous high, previous all-time high, and then, new highs, okay? But one step at a time, right? We've just escaped out of this, very crucial area from BTC, from other altcoins. We want to see progress. We want to see more momentum to the upside. The worst thing that you want to do is, price comes into this area and then starts rolling back inside. All right. I don't think that'll happen, but, Bitcoin has a way to destroy everybody, right? What could be a breakout level for Mirror? I really don't know. I don't really watch Mirror all that much. I just know it's a very unique project. I know Delphi Digital has been talking about it. Let's see. So if we map this out right here, all right. Let's see. I mean, Mirror doesn't really even have that much history. It has like 2 months. I can't really tell a whole lot, but, I don't know. Maybe like this is resistance right here. If you really like Mirror, I wouldn't really worry about the local price movement. Okay. If you're thinking of a trade, well, this is probably your invalidation below this low or below this low. Your first target is this range high or newer highs. If you want the best confirmation, well, the best confirmation will be break above this high with good volume, hold, then you go long right here, and then your stop has to be over here, and your targets could be all of these pivots or, even further up. I don't know how high Mirror can go, but that's how I would look at it. I've only heard and read about Mirror Protocol on Delphi, so I don't know much about it, but supposedly it's a pretty solid project and it's a good game changer. So, I suggest you guys look into it as well. Let's see, what else? Sushi. Okay, let's check out Sushi. Yeah, so Sushi, I mean, I'm still in this trade. I like Sushi a lot, food-wise and asset-wise. I still think, Sushi, same thing, right? So I just told y'all earlier, right? Tweezer bottoms, well, these are like tweezer higher lows. That's not a thing, but I have seen this happen quite a bit in markets. Tweezer higher lows like this, in my opinion, are even better than tweezer bottoms. Why? Because they look like two hammers, but this hammer is actually even stronger because it refuses to go as low as an actual tweezer bottom. See, here's how tweezer bottoms look, okay? They look like this, right? They have a or a wick coming down like this, and have another candle, and then they have another candle coming down like this. Pretty much generally equal lows. Well, tweezer higher lows, which is again something I just made up. Well, I've seen in my experience that when you have a higher low like this, like that, well, generally this implies that, there's buyers who are unwilling to let the price fill in this gap at this previous low. And they're defending that buy over here and just drive up price here and then boom, be on your merry way back up. Okay. So yeah, I still think sushi looks solid. I'm still looking for more upside. I mean, honestly, like if you look at Coinbase being valued at what is it, 85% or 100, or 85 billion or 100 billion as valuation, which is ridiculous. Sushi, I think, did more volume than Coinbase, I think the last month or two. So in that regard, well, shouldn't sushi be valued somewhere close to Coinbase? Even if it's double from here, that still puts sushi at like, I think 7 or 9 billion, which is still like 80 or 90% off from Coinbase's valuation. Right? So you can see the amount of growth that sushi may have in the future, just in case DEXs become a big thing, which I believe they are already, like Uniswap and sushi and what else? What else is there? 1inch, all these different DEXs that are out there, right? So tons of market cap to cover, tons of potential out there, right? All right. Let's see, CHZ. All right, I'll cover CHZ and then that's it. I mean, I personally think Chili's is topped, at least for now, because it's just gone up way too much. It was like it had more volume traded than Bitcoin and Ether, like way at the last 2 days right here when it pushed off. So, I really don't know. I mean, I'd probably say like if you look at it very simply, this marker right here, 60 cents, you want Chili's to break above that and hold at least for a good solid day. And then maybe you can target this previous high around 94 cents and maybe new highs. But other than that, I think Chili's is probably topped and it's probably going to consolidate around here. Maybe it might grind down further for like the next, couple days, couple weeks. After an asset has gone up so much, you missed the boat, right? Like, yeah, maybe it goes higher, but especially when the whole market as a whole is already kind of coming off the lows, you want to focus on those other assets. If you already have CHZ, well, you better pray that it gets above 60 and holds, right? Then you can start talking new highs and, or at least this previous high. Okay. But if I were to get into Chili's right now, I definitely want my stop just below this area, just 46, 47 cents. All right. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here, folks. That's pretty much it. Just want to give you all a quick update. I hope you found this video helpful, informative. That's it. Cheers.